Like, sir, over to you. We are live.
You can give me a heads up.
So we are live, sir. Thank you.
Shall we start?
Yes, sir, we can start.
Good morning, everyone. Respected Vijay Kumar, Mr. Arvind Medireta, distinguished guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. Sorry that there was some technical glitches and then we couldn't start on time. And I take great pleasure in welcoming all of you to day 3 of the 17th edition of India Innovation Summit being organized by CII. And this year, the theme is around crafting our future, innovation for the next world, as you all know. I take this opportunity on behalf of CII and on my personal behalf to warmly welcome Mr. Vijay Kumar, who is the co-founder and CTO of Crayon Data, and Arvind Medireta, Managing Director and CEO of Metro Cash and Carry, who is amongst us today. Ms. Gunjan Krishna, Commissioner, IAS and Commissioner for Industrial Development and Director for Industries, couldn't make it because you know what happens with bureaucrats. They get pulled in the last minute to the assembly and all that. So she couldn't make it today. So we apologize on her behalf to all of you. So I am very delighted to be part of the 17th edition. We've gone through a lot of brainstorming, a lot of meetings to put this all together, and we have a lot of bigwigs from the world of retail addressing us today. Innovation and its practice is very critical, as we know, in retail business, and especially in today's time, it is very important than ever, considering the lightning speed at which technology is transforming our lives, right? So under these changing, or I don't know, should I say change circumstances, it is critical to understand in depth what the future of retail with focus on innovation would look like. The challenge, as you know, for all of us is to stay ahead of the trends, shift um, to the latest developments in marketing and retail. Focus is fast shifting from the regular conservative tools which are there to ensuring sustainable growth 360-degree, right? So it has become imperative to find effective scalability solutions. In fact, digital retail tools have become stronger than ever, and the need of the hour for all of us is to choose and integrate the right technologies with the impactful branding to have sustainable growth. We never imagined that we could connect to some of the retail stores through a mobile phone and do the shopping like what we are doing today. And we never imagined that maybe probably 1.5 years back, just pre COVID. So, retail innovation is all about change, and change that provides tangible value to shoppers, right? And in the session today, we would understand the concepts of retail. New age retail has become phenomenal in every sense, as innovation and technology has taken us to newer heights, which we have never achieved before, right? And when you look at it, true omni-channel retail core competency, along with collaboration, with mobile being at the core, vernacular content playing an even more bigger role, and we know future is all about personalization, right? And all these aspects are going to be some of the key mainstream tech trends which will make this change happen. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our esteemed speakers again here today. They bring with them vast knowledge about the subject and experience of closely working with the leaders in the retail industry, retail sector in the country. And I'm sure that would go a long way in helping us achieve the objectives of the session. Just like our audience here, I'm eagerly waiting to hear from them. The first speaker we have today is Vijay Kumar, known as IVK to all of us. He's the co-founder and CTO of Crayon Data. IVK used to be the CTO of Wipro's IT business, managing a lot of aspects about Wipro's business. And He's also a very active member of Indian Angel Network and advises a lot of startup companies and all that. And his core focus is in the business strategy and transformation space, especially with new age technology. So, IVK, over to you, and we are all eager to hear from you.
Thank you, Like, and good morning to everyone. I hope you can see me and hear me. So, let me start with a confession that I have not worked as a retailer or in a retail industry myself, but I have a vantage point which is a little different in the sense that I have seen the journey of many retailers from their analog to digital transformation, offline to online, etc., across various geographies and across various sectors. So I have some kind of I would say, a ringside view on how things have panned out in retail industry, and I have some observations to make to set the context for the rest of the sessions. In addition to that, I have been involved with innovation as a topic, both within a corporate model, that is Wipro. I was also the Chief Innovation Officer, and also from the ecosystem perspective, from India perspective, and also cross-border. So I've seen a few innovation models, deployed or developed by many corporates, or what you call enabled by nation's priorities as well. But they do differ a little bit here and there. So I have collected my thoughts around this topic, innovation and retail. And I thought I will maybe share a few key points or maybe some guideposts around which I tend to view the retail journey in terms of innovation and digitization or digital transformation in that sense. As a topic, it used to be a very popular statement that if there is scarcity of water, then you will innovate in water. If you come from a land of scarcity, which is what India was for a long time, and maybe it is so even today in some areas, generally the innovation or any of the creative stuff we do is generally on the supply side because you are always in a scarce market. But then we go to a land of surplus, you might actually think that you will innovate on the demand side because you have too many choices to make. So I would view innovation as a bridge between these two extremes. And perhaps India is in that cusp. We moved from a land of scarcity for many things to a land of surplus, at least in food maybe, and in some areas. So we are in between, I would say, in transforming ourselves on how we apply creative technologies or digitalization or new age behavioral economics in solving these kind of challenges on the demand side while fixing the supply. So I assume the following, that India now is a consumption story. In other words, it is a consumption economy, and hence we think and behave like many other countries who are essentially consumer driven or consumption driven, as opposed to infrastructure or capital investment driven. In that sense, the retail has transformed itself. However, the transformation one can view in different ways. Is it the transformation or innovation in the discovery side of things, which is what you typically find in e-commerce? Or is it in the delivery side of things, which is normally the fulfillment, which is typically what we call innovation in the local loop? I would say these two maybe are the key goalposts around which everything is woven in innovation stories. For most of Indian market, it is a local loop issue. While there is a difference in the way people consume or discover, it is still a very high touch local loop business. So there is another point I want to make here, which is a little more philosophical, or maybe I would say conceptual in that sense. Someone asked me what is the difference between buying in a Kirana store versus buying online. Well, I'm sure you can get your goal fulfilled in either way, and maybe at a lower price if it is online, for different reasons, of course. But there is something more deeper in the way we buy. Offline, you do a few transactions with a local kirana store or retail merchant, and over a period of time, you build that trust. In other words, the transaction precedes trust. But in online, it is the other way. The trust precedes transaction. If I don't trust the site, I'm not going to transact. So I think this is one of the, what you call a slightly more deeper view on how the customer journeys happen and how the online and offline might differ in the way they engage with the customer. I'm sure there are a lot of sessions later to delve more into these journeys and different trade-offs. But I just want to make a point that trust and transaction, they don't go in the same order in offline to online. Of course, you can argue what happens then in omni-channel. So that is a separate topic for discussion. The other point I want to make, this is about resilience. Very surprisingly, the resilience is shown more by the kirana merchants and the local stores than actually the online stores during the COVID, right? The local supplies actually worked. So there is something which gets into the point that, if you are online versus offline, if you are local versus digital discovery, is there a difference in the way you serve your customer when there is a crisis, or is there a difference in the supply chains, etc.? Actually, I have a slightly philosophical view on this, that I don't think it is about the systems of supply chain or analytics or point of sale, etc. And I can give an example. I used to visit France very often when I was running telecom business in Wipro. I used to get back to my hotel or a restaurant very late at night in Paris. There was only one restaurant which was open at the time, a Thai restaurant. And the lady who runs it used to keep the restaurant open for me to come and eat. And I eat very few things. I'm a vegetarian, and I don't speak French, so you can understand my plight, right? 11 o'clock, if you're not French speaking and you are vegetarian, good luck. So one day, after eating a couple of days like that, I asked her, why is it that you serve me while every other restaurant says they're closed? She gave a very fitting answer, which I still remember after so many years. She said, I can't see you hungry. A classical Oriental mindset, right? I don't say my POS system failed and hence I can't bill you, and therefore I cannot serve a pizza, even though the pizza has been ordered. This is a live example of my own experience, by the way, in Scandinavia. On paper, they said we don't have such a system. So this shows the mindset sometimes that a local store or a local grocer would like to fulfill your requirement, however difficult it is, right? So there is something they care for you. So somehow that caring difference, how do you put it on a digital model or online model is a subject for debate. I would also put it in a different way, that it's a relationship or emotive feel versus what is called analytic segment data feel, right? I would also make a point that during the COVID pandemic period, I would say there is inversion of categories of choice. If you look at a pre-COVID times, the general view is that the electronics is perhaps the most profitable and sold. The next will be fashion, and food is kind of a staple, right? You can buy it anywhere. You can buy it in bulk on discount. You can buy it from a local as a top-up. It's not something you think too much about it. Everything changed during COVID that it became the reverse, that I think about food than anything else, right? I think that is where the local grocers and local kirana stores did much more than somebody who's just online. So it begets a question that if you want to draw a customer journey for a pure online retailer versus pure offline retailer, and we add in between the omnichannel and other models, how will those customer journeys look like? And what will you do in terms of innovation in technology or systems? I would like to end with a one simple comment that what I found, I may be wrong, but what most of the local grocers have done, the discovery is anyway known because you are literally less than a kilometer away or even 500 feet away. They have done their transaction model on WhatsApp and also used as CRM. So either the catalog discovery as well as purchase and payment all done on WhatsApp. So you don't need any other backend system for practical purposes. Otherwise, the general view is that the Kirana merchant's frontline is relationship driven, the backend is data analytics driven. So you can say digital back and relationship forward. Maybe these are some of our topics to think through in the sessions going forward. And I now defer to somebody like Arvind, who has spent his career in retail and consumer journeys. So with that, thank you very much. Over to you, like.
Thank you, IVK. I think wonderful opening remarks. I really love the example of the French lady keeping the restaurant open for you. And it truly shows one aspect, right? Irrespective of whether it's an online business or offline business, it's all about purpose. She had only one purpose. She said, I can't see you hungry. And so it doesn't matter whether it's new age, old age. If you have your purpose sorted, I think you can be rooted to your purpose and you can deliver on your promise. So great example, IVK. And let's continue. Please stay back. And I'm sure we'll have a lot more questions coming in from the others. So next speaker we have all been eagerly waiting for is Arvind Medirata. Arvind is he doesn't need any introduction, but anyway, let me take uh, a little 2 minutes, and it's my honor to introduce him. And he is the managing director and chief executive officer of Metro Cash and Carry. In his current role since 2016, he has been instrumental in steering Metro into newer geographies, building a very robust culture of customer centricity within the organization and making it a very a profitable $1 billion company. An industry veteran, more than 3 decades of rich experience in wholesale, retail, general management, marketing. Mr. Medirata has worked with some of the leading Fortune 500 companies like Walmart, P&G, Whirlpool, and Yum Brands. Arvind, we are all eager to hear from you. Over to you, and looking forward to your session.
Thank you, for a very kind introduction. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me very clearly. It's a pleasure and honor to deliver this keynote address. The theme for the conference is very, very relevant, very topical. It's about the innovations in the retail space, what will happen in the future in the retail sector, especially in India. And I'm very pleased and delighted to share with you some of my thoughts on this topic. So I'd like to start by sharing a presentation. I hope just give me a second to just put that. Can you see the presentation?
Not yet, Arvind.
There's a presentation not coming. Okay. I share now. There. Where is that? How do I get to that? Let's see. Okay. All set.
Yes, Arvind.
Okay. Sorry for the technical glitch. So I would like to start my presentation with this very interesting quote that I find very inspiring. And it says, the future belongs to those who can see possibilities before they become obvious. And the interesting thing is that the Indian retail market is full of very, very exciting possibilities. Before we get there, let's look at some of the basic facts about the Indian retail industry. If we look at the Indian retail industry, it's one of the fastest growing in the world. The current size of the market is $813 billion and is projected to grow at between 9 to 10% over the next 5-6 years and will reach a size of mammoth $1.3 trillion by fiscal year 26. So it's a huge market, and therefore there's plenty of opportunity for different retailers in different segments in this overall retail industry. Now let's look at the retail pie broken down by what we call traditional trade, modern trade, and e-commerce. There's a lot of there's a lot of hype, hoopla around e-commerce. And e-commerce has seen a very rapid growth in the last 5 or 6 years. From 1.5% share of the market, currently the share of e-commerce is about 6%, and it will roughly double by fiscal 26. If you look at modern retail, obviously, it was 6% in 16, and it probably will go up to 9 or 10%. But the interesting thing is traditional trade. This is very unique to India. Traditional trade used to be 92% of the market in fiscal 16. The share has come down over a period of time and it will further drop to 80%. But the lion's share of the market will still be controlled by traditional trade. So they will continue to be relevant for a long time. If we now shift our focus to the charts on the right, this data is for the food and grocery market. And there the picture changes a bit dramatically. If you look at e-commerce share in the food and grocery space, where every e-commerce player has been trying to make inroads, the share has not gone up so much, even during the pandemic. Pre-COVID, the share of e-commerce was 2.6, and right now it's at 3.2. So it's a 60 basis point increase in share for e-commerce companies. The share of modern trade, on the other hand, has come down, of course, due to a lot of lockdowns that we saw during this period. But the interesting thing to note is that the share of traditional trade has actually gone up during the pandemic. This is very interesting. So Kiranas, which probably are the bulk of traditional trade, their share has gone up from 87.1 to 88.8. So they have actually picked up more share than even the e-commerce companies, despite massive investments by a lot of the incumbents in the e-commerce space. And I want you to remember this, that in food and grocery, the role of traditional trade is still very important. They will continue to be very relevant even going forward. Now let's look at some of the themes which are shaping the future of the retail industry in India. And I'm sure you're familiar with all of them. The first one is digitalization. The whole economy has shifted to digital. Wherever you go, people are shopping online. Even banking, financial services, most of it has moved online. Entertainment with the proliferation of OTT, again online. Education, shopping, whether it's shopping for food, groceries, smartphones, now even medicines, is all online. Meetings and conferences like what we are doing today. Who would have thought that this would be a reality 2-3 years earlier? Payments, ordering of food, booking of hotels, booking of flights, everything has shifted online. So there has been a massive digitalization of the Indian economy in the last 5-6 years. And this obviously has got a boost due to the pandemic. The second thing is formalization of the economy. This is very important. There have been two seminal events in the last 5-6 years. First one was demonetization, and then it was GST. Thanks to that, we see much better compliance by even the unorganized sector players in retail. This has provided a level playing field to the large organized sector players, both in retail and wholesale. And we are seeing that the share of organized retail is going up because of GST, because of demonetization. The third thing is very interesting, true to India, easy availability of risk capital. We see a proliferation of startups. Every day you read in the papers that there is a new unicorn in town, right? They're disrupting the existing business model, especially in retail. The other thing I want to highlight is that they're also creating disruption on the pricing front. There is talk about predatory pricing. There's talk about, if you're looking at buying medicines, right now you're able to get 15-20% discount online, maybe even more on some of the large e-pharmacy players. Now, this is creating disruption for the traditional mom and pop or your neighborhood chemist stores. So easy availability of risk capital, while it is leading to disruption of supply chain, disruption of the whole business model, it's also creating a problem for the traditional trade because of the price disruption. And finally, pandemic. This has accelerated the adoption of e-commerce in my mind by at least 3 to 4 years, right? So we are all familiar with these four themes. Now let's look at how customers have changed over the last few years. There have been significant shifts in both their consumption as well as the buying behavior. What are these changes that we are seeing in customer buying and consumption behavior? First is hybrid behavior. What do I mean by hybrid? Hybrid is customers decide when they shop, where they shop, how they shop. This is leading to amalgamation of physical and the digital worlds, what we call phygital, or they want the best of online and the best of offline world. And all the retailers have to get ready for this because this is going to stay. This is the era of the customer. Customer calls the shots. The second thing which is very interesting is instant gratification. People place an order on the internet, and at the click of a mouse they expect the products to be delivered or the services that they're looking for to be delivered in 15-20 minutes. And this has completely changed the supply chain model. In the past, people were expecting delivery sometimes in 1 week. Then it became a few days. The bar is getting raised higher and higher every single day. Then people talked about 24-hour delivery. It was a big breakthrough. Now people talk about same day delivery. And now I'll share with you later on, there are people who deliver within minutes. So this has led to big disruption in supply chain. It has ramifications for your supply chain, and retailers have to get ready for it. The third thing is retailtainment. One has to engage the customer across all the touch points in the entire shopping cycle, whether it's online, whether it's in a physical store. So you have to find newer and more interesting ways of engaging with the customers because they are spoiled with choice. They're plethora of choices. So this is very important. The fourth piece is people are looking for a one-stop shop for all their products and services. They want to go to a player that they can trust, which is also the player which can provide them entertainment, payment of utility bills, ordering of food, booking of hotels, booking of flights, shopping of food, grocery, smartphones, you name it. And they want this one product or one stop shop solution, not just for products, but it also covers services. And we are seeing ecosystems being created in the Indian market to tap this opportunity. And finally, I think we must never forget that Indian customers are extremely value conscious, whether it's a housewife, a B2C shopper, or a B2B customer, extremely value conscious. They're looking for the best deals. They're looking for the best promotions, the best price every single day. So they want all this together. And whoever can offer this to the customer will eventually be the winner in the Indian retail market. I like this quote a lot. And this is what most of the retail companies would have to look at. This is a quote from Mark Benioff, the founder of Salesforce. He says it very aptly. You need to get to the future ahead of your customers and be ready to greet them when they arrive. This is so true for the retail industry. I have been a marketer in my previous life, and one of the things that they teach you in marketing is you have a big winner on hand when you tap upon the unarticulated needs of the customers, right? Which you will never find when you go and talk to a customer in a focus group or in a one-on-one setting because it's unarticulated. If you look at some of the biggest breakthroughs in the world, they have happened when somebody has tapped an unarticulated customer need. Look at Apple. Nobody in a focus group would have told the marketeers in Apple that they want a phone which also works as a camera, which gives them access to the internet, and so on, right? So when you tap upon an unarticulated need, that's when you have a big breakthrough. So let's look at what the future holds for the retailers in the Indian industry. And I'll look at each and every trend and explain to you what are the challenges that as retailers we face and what the future of retail looks like. Again, at the center, we have to keep in mind that it's the customer who's calling the shots, not us. First thing we talked about is the hybrid behavior, which customers are increasingly displaying. Customers now decide when they shop, whether it's 5 a.m. in the morning or 1 p.m. in the afternoon or 12 midnight. They will decide when they shop. They want to have that flexibility. Where they shop, whether they shop online, offline, or sometimes offline, sometimes online. How they shop is again in their hands. Which channel, which brands, they decide that, right? So we have to make sure that we are there for the customer whenever there is a shopping opportunity. You cannot be a pure online or offline player. You have to play in both the segments. So this is the era of digital. And as a retailer, one needs to offer a seamless omni-channel experience to the customers. And we have seen this. I think this is often heard. We all have seen this. This is the era of digital shopping, the best of offline and online, the intersection of physical and the digital worlds. And there are several examples of this. You know, the largest brick and mortar retailer in the world, Walmart, where I used to work for a long time, they have made huge investments in the e-commerce sector. Amazon, the largest online company in the world, e-commerce and player in the world, they acquired stores by through acquisition of Whole Foods. They're setting up their own physical stores, right? And we have our own example of Metro, which is not really a retailer but a wholesaler. And we are finding that even the humble Kirana is looking at the option of shopping both online and offline. We find that there are a lot of these small Kirana stores who will want to come to a physical store once a week when the markets are closed, talk to the employees, understand what's new and different in the industry in terms of assortment, retail practices, which they can implement in their business. At the same time, they also want the option of placing an order with you online. We have introduced programs called happy hour programs where you offer special discounts to the Kirana store owners after 9 p.m. and before 9 a.m. And we find a lot of orders come after 9 p.m. once you have closed down their store. They have enough time to then browse your app, place an order for products where they like the pricing, etc. So phygital shopping is the future. And frankly, to my mind, and we have some data which I'm going to share with you in a moment, that this is also good for the retailers or the wholesalers because people who are playing in both the fields, both physical and the digital space, they are finding that the share of wallet, the engagement with the customer goes up. And I'll share with you some data now for Metro. You see this Venn diagram? We have the gray chart. The gray circle is about offline customers, and the blue is online. And in the intersection is people who are showing the hybrid behavior. And this is something very interesting. If you look at customers who are only offline shoppers, their monthly buying frequency is only zero point 0.8. Online is 2, obviously, because online is much more convenient. But if you look at people who are displaying hybrid behavior, these are Kirana store owners, the number goes up dramatically to 3.4. So omni-channel allows you to get a much higher share of the wallet. People shop with you much more if you have a physical store and also if you have e-commerce presence. The second thing is each time when they buy a lot more. So if you look at a monthly purchase of a customer, we have seen that if offline is generating 1x and offline, so 1x, online is 3x, omni-channel is 8.5 times. So if you are able to capture the customer through a digital offering, which is you have both a physical store presence and you also have e-commerce facility, you can get 10 times or 9 times the share of the customer wallet. This is a very interesting insight. This is why we are convinced that the future belongs to neither pure online or pure offline players, but to people who are playing in the omni-channel space. Now let's look at the next challenge. Instant gratification. It's pretty obvious from the name that here we are talking about people wanting quick service, fast delivery. And what is a challenge for the retailers? They need to have capabilities to deliver quickly. But more importantly, we have a term in the industry called on time in full, OTIF. The challenge that we face is that our customers demand 99% on time in full, while the fill rates from the suppliers, the FMCG companies, are in the range of 75 to 80%, even for the best of FMCG companies. So this is a paradox, and the retailers have to solve this problem. And there are people who have already done that. And for that, one has to look at agile and efficient supply chain solutions, law of dependency on AI and machine learning based demand forecasting, IoT for real-time monitoring of inventory, picking of the order, packing of the order, delivery of the order. We have to look at innovative supply chain solutions, micro fulfillment centers, hyperlocal presence, etc. And I want to share with you 3 examples which have really caught my attention. Dunzo talks about grocery delivery within 19 minutes. 19 minutes. Grofers talks about 10 minutes in 10 cities. Swiggy is talking about 15 to 30 minutes. This was totally unheard of even 6 months ago. So there were people who were really, you know, celebrating when they were able to offer same day delivery. But the rules of the game have been completely changed. And these are all, as I mentioned earlier, these are all startups, well funded, deep pockets, and they are disrupting the business model, right? And any retail company has to be prepared for meeting these benchmarks. These are the new expectations which have been set by the new players in this industry. Now, let's talk about the third big trend, retailtainment. It's pretty obvious what we mean by this. And for the retailers, the challenge is to effectively engage and involve consumers across all touch points in their shopping journey. And what does the future of retail look like? It looks like that we have to offer, whether we are a online player or e-commerce company or a brick and mortar company or omni-channel, you have to offer immersive experience to the customers, engaging customer experience across all the touch points, experiential retailing, gamification, mass personalization, conversational AI. And I have some examples to share with you. Nika is a new startup going for IPO. They have a try it on feature, which is very interesting. Bases your skin color, skin tone, skin condition, they recommend the right makeup for you. So you don't have to physically go to a store to decide which is the best lipstick for you, or which is the best nail polish for you, or which is the best toner for you. You can try it online. Similarly, Lenskart, they use augmented reality to offer you the best frames that suit your face type. Cred is a master of gamification. So that's what is happening. A lot of new things happening in the retail sector, which is creating a lot of challenges for the incumbents, and people who will not adapt their business model will not survive. What's next? People are looking for a one-stop shop for all products and services, right? The challenge is for retailers to transform themselves into a complete ecosystem player. And we are seeing retailers are making that effort. Retailers are moving in that direction, right? Basically, what it means is you need to look at partnerships, alliances to complete the ecosystem. So you can be a one-stop shop for all products and services for your customer. The idea is to own the customer end to end. Be there when they're looking for a product or a service, whether they're looking at paying their electricity bill or mobile bill or buying a mobile phone or booking an airline ticket. Be there, right? Capture the customer totally, the entire wallet, not just through products, but also through services. And here I want to share with you a very interesting example. This is from Tata's, and you can see the kind of ecosystem that they have built. So obviously they have a strong presence in the retail sector. They have Westside and Star Bazaar and Zudio, Zara, etc., Chroma, logistics, loyalty programs for different businesses, financial services through Tata Capital, AIG, partnership, insurance, entertainment, Tata Sky, services, Tata Health, Cumin, which is the food service from Taj, CureFit now, analytics, cloud, hospitality, you name it. So they are trying to own as much of the customer wallet as possible. And if you look at other big players, whether it's a Reliance or Amazon, they're all trying to play in the same space to be there with the customer whenever they're looking at buying something, whenever they're looking for a product or a service. And this is the future. You just can't confine yourself to being a provider of physical products, and that's it. You have to own the entire ecosystem. And for that, one has to look at partnerships because it may not be possible for somebody to do it on its own. The next thing is about value. We all know that the Indian customers are extremely value conscious. And what does it mean? It means that the retailers have to offer the best possible deals to the customers all the time. In B2B space, we find that people are extremely price sensitive. So if a customer is coming to shop at your place and they have a list of 10 articles that they want to buy, on eight articles, if your prices are lower, they'll buy that from you. And the other two articles, they'll buy from somewhere else. And this era of e-commerce, you can easily check the prices online of all the players that exist. A housewife may not take that trouble, but certainly a shopkeeper or restaurant owner will definitely make that extra effort to get the best price, the best deal. So the challenge is to offer smart pricing. Challenge also is to look at the buying behavior of your customers and use AI algorithms to do targeted promotions. This is true for e-commerce companies. This is true for brick and mortar players, omni-channel players, and I will say this is even true for the humble kiranas. Now we have seen a lot of examples where we are partnering with kiranas. There is a customer who's buying diapers but not buying baby food, and that's an opportunity to offer some promotions on baby food so you get a higher share of that customer wallet. But if you're looking at, again, best pricing, you also need to make sure you have low cost operations. And the mantra there is automation of the entire business processes so that you have very efficient and lean and mean operations. And I want to give an example here from Metro. As I said earlier, we are in the B2B space. We deal with kiranas, which are extremely price sensitive. They have the option of buying from the distributor of a large FMCG company, traditional wholesale markets, or our competitors. So, and they always want the lowest prices. So, what we have done is we have a tool called Zilliant, and it's nothing but price IQ. The whole idea is how do you offer customers customer specific pricing in a way that you optimize your revenue with that customer at the same time optimize your profits. Because being an existing retailer, not a startup, we also have to keep an eye on the bottom line. So we just cannot do pricing and start selling below cost, which is what is probably even happening in the retail space, especially in commodities or staples, right? So this is very important for every retailer to have the right pricing tools, lot of IQ in pricing, lot of machine learning algorithms to make sure you're not compromising on pricing. You offer the best price or best value to your customers. At the same time, you maximize your return on investment, right? Which are the articles which have certain price elasticity and which are the articles which are price inelastic. And accordingly, you decide the pricing policy. So we have a very clear pricing policy. I'm sure every single retailer has that. And it's very important to make sure that you capture share of wallet at the same time deliver your bottom line. Finally, if I have to summarize, what are the key levers for building a future ready retail organization? First thing, without any doubt, is this is the era of digital shopping. So you need to be an omni channel player. There can be no questions about it. Second is agile and efficient supply chains, right? To make sure you are able to deliver on time and also deliver 99% of the order, which means all the articles which have been ordered, you are able to deliver most of the articles on time. At the same time, you need an efficient supply chain because otherwise the cost to serve can kill your P&L. So that's why, a lot of technology goes into this. Third is smart pricing and targeted promotion. So you maximize your return on investment. While in the case of retail, it's very easy because a lot of people work from MRP. But in the case of wholesale, you also have to take into account the promotions and discounts and trade schemes being run by various companies, which change every 15 days, which change by geography. So it is very important. You cannot do this manually. So you need to have very sophisticated pricing tools. Immersive customer experience, no doubt about it. When people are shopping online, they want you to engage with them. And I shared with you examples of Nika, which has done it, or Lenskart, which is doing it. Even when they come to a physical store, you need to offer a great shopping experience. In online, the customers have the option to go to another player by just with a click of a mouse. Similarly, in the case of physical store, there are plenty of competitors available. So they're spoiled for choice. So you have to up the game and make sure you're better than everybody else and continuously innovating in this space. The good old concept of clean, fast, friendly stores is no longer sufficient to engage with customers. You have to do more than that. Gamification is so important. That's why you see the proliferation of a lot of social e-commerce companies. And finally, one has to be a one-stop shop for all products and services. It's not about selling only a few physical products. So it's not about being, an unlimited aisle for products, but also for services. The more, the merrier. It's about owning the customer in totality, holistically. right? So you own maybe 50% share of wallet with that customer. That's at least a mindset we work with. Share of wallet is not about basket value, it's about share of wallet. If a customer spends 50,000 rupees in a month, how much of that money is being spent in our stores or on our app? And finally, I want to end by saying it is not the strongest of the species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. And that is also true for the retail space. It is not the people with the deepest pockets, the biggest pockets, not the people who are currently number one. It's the people who are the most resilient, most adaptive, who will eventually be the winners in this space. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arvind. Thank you so much. That was a fascinating presentation. And change is the only constant, and you have to learn to adapt. And I think you have, for me, if I were to use one word to sum it up, I think it was a holistic overview of what the current challenges are and what the future is like. Amazing presentation, amazing talk. Really loved every bit of it. And from digitization to one-stop shop to instant gratification and everything I could relate to, because these are things what we are living through at this particular point of time. So thank you so much, Arvind, for the paucity of time. I'm not taking any questions because we are running a little late in schedule. So I would like to thank on behalf of CII, Arvind, thank you for taking
Thank
time out. IBK, thank you for coming by and filling in by giving an overview of what the industry is like. So I thank you, both of you. Uh, so thank you so much. And we look forward to continuing the session into the next session with the future of retail. All of you all have got an overview in terms of what retail is like. Now we are going to go into the next aspects of what future is really like. We're going to go into micro topics of what the future of retail is going like. So join us for the next session. Thank you, Arvind. Thank you, IVK.
you, Laik.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a
IVK.
Yeah. Thank you,
bye-bye.
Arvind. Thank like. See you
Thank you,
soon.
IVK. Thank you, Laik.